That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home. We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network. We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Found ourselves falling into the trap of if only I was born into a different family, if only I had a different circumstance. But my guest today, Nick Vujicic, did I do that right?
You did it perfectly, Jeff.
I've been practicing this because I've been so nervous to interview him. He's so inspirational. He's shared the stage with countless audiences. What's your largest audience to date?
800,000 people face to face.
800,000
And we have been on TV in front of 1 billion people in China and 1 billion people outside.
He's been on Oprah, he's been on 60 Minutes, I mean, you name it, he's been on it. And now he's in my studio. Nick, tell us a little
And now we're friends.
We've got a
like,
romance
seriously? This is awesome. Because I now live in Dallas, y'all. So, give me a fist bump, dude.
There we go.
Love you. Don't worry, I got my hand sanitizer on. We're good.
Honorary Texan, and now I guess official Texan.
Official
right?
honorary Texan. In fact, when I met Rick Perry when he was governor, he gave me a plaque of honorary Texan. I said, does that mean I have to pay Californian taxes? And he said, unfortunately, yes, still. But June of last year, my wife and I and 4 children, we did move out now to the North Dallas area. So thank you for your welcome, Dallas, and God bless you.
Awesome. Okay, so before we get deep into an interview with Nick, I want to show an overview video.
Know that we are not alone and we need each other. We need to uplift this message of hope around the world. To know that we are one. The body of Christ is one, and together we can hold each other. We can uplift each other. We can support each other. We can encourage each other. So, Nick, I think your message is more important now than ever before because of what we've all gone through as a planet, right? The pandemic. I wonder about you, a man without limits. Do you ever find yourself getting depressed? Absolutely. Look, we all must understand that obviously 2020 was not the first year that we went through something as a world. And even when the global economic crisis happened, it wasn't about the global economic crisis. It was really more the emphasis on how people reacted, the mental health, the social emotional learning for the next generation, for them to understand how do you become resilient? How are you continually self-aware and socially aware of people around you and who you are? And knowing that you're beautiful just the way that you are. For me, it's never a message of saying, just be positive, right? It's 5 fullness quadrants, if you will, of life. You've got faith, family, friends, finance, fitness, and we all go through ups and downs. And all of those areas are fundamental to each and every one of us. And when anyone says that all you need is positivity, they're lying. When anyone says just believe and pray and everything's possible, sure,
in a sense, yes, but not everything is possible. I'm never going to be a football star, right? I have no arms and no legs, right? We know that. But my possible is possible. And so what we try to portray is that Nick, even though he emanates and illuminates joy and faith and peace and fun and courage and strength, Nick still has his ups and downs. In fact, last year, it was messy. In fact, I had to go through some counseling myself, Jeff.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I imagine, I mean, you get energy from crowds. You light up when you're in front.
Yeah.
And of course, all speakers suddenly had to go to Zoom.
Right.
I mean, what was that like?
Zero. It was like 4 million miles an hour, and it was freaking zero. It's like, what? And it was 6 months of like crickets. And I lost the cash, lost the company, the LLC, had to furlough. It was really, really hard. Now, our nonprofit organization, Life Without Limbs, which is a faith-based 501c3 that enables me to talk about my faith, actually only physically and tangibly, if you will, fast-tracked us to our 10-year goal of reaching another billion people with the gospel message in faith-based venues. But all my motivational speaking in corporate, I mean, I was the highest paid under 40 motivational speaker in the world.
Wow.
I only work 33 days a year, okay? And then I want to be with my wife. I want to be with my kids. I want to do the nonprofit stuff. And it was like Iran was one of my last countries. And I turned to my wife and I said, babe, I think all the doors of Russia, Ukraine, and Middle East, they're done. And I really I feel a shift coming. And I told her that. Had no idea what would come. And I'm so thankful because it focused in on now, like never before, the Attitude is Altitude social emotional learning curriculum that we have, AIA curriculum, that brings in that values. And it's not just Nick traveling and speaking. It's about now making a total change and domino effect of world change through the education system and having a first-class curriculum like that. And I would just want to say thank you for being someone of courage and boldness with, of course, the faith that you've been given, the family and support and the team you've been given. But you are on cutting edge, seeing change and revolution in media and not being afraid to step out and not being afraid to stand up for what you know needs to be said. And I want to say thank you for having me here. And I look forward to seeing what's ahead. And I just want to tell everyone that I wouldn't be who I am without my faith in God. And then second of all, my wife by my side. And we have 4 beautiful children, 2 beautiful sons, Kiyoshi and Dayan, age 8 and 5. And we'll make sure you got a photo. There it is. There's the photo. And we've got twin girls, Olivia and Ali. They're 3 years old and they're already taller than me. And, you know, I never thought that I'd be happy, never thought I'd ever find purpose in my life. But beautiful things can come from broken pieces when you give your broken pieces a chance.
Okay, before we get into the significant marriage, you have to tell the Oprah story. And I'm going to preface this by saying, as I'm doing my homework on Nick, I find this video on YouTube of Oprah, and it was a great video. And when I asked you to tell the story, my team all kind of leaned in. So would you share the Oprah story with us?
Had a prayer with God long time ago to say, God, if you give me the pulpit, the biggest pulpit in the world, I will preach the gospel. And he gave me a dream, Jeff, about me on Oprah's stage, and I would be on stage hugging her, and it was an impact. And that was the dream. And then this opportunity also opens up to see Oprah. Pastor Rick Warren of Saddleback Church, his team told me that on their 4th invite from Oprah Winfrey, that they finally said yes, under one caveat, that Oprah would allow Nick Vujicic to come. So I said, I'm there, no worries. And so we get there, and I was told that, look, here is your seat, you're 5 rows back, there's the stage, Rick Warren's there sitting next to Oprah, and you're going to be right here. And Oprah's going to talk to you, Nick. But you're not talking until Oprah talks to you. And when Oprah talks to you, this is your script. There's a teleprompter. And you're talking about only bullying and students and never giving up. And please do not mention your book. Do not mention faith. Do not mention Jesus. Do not mention God. And I'm like, man, after so many years since 03, I'm like, this is it. We're so close. Like, okay, are you wanting me to do something, or are you okay with this? And here I am, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, there's nothing else to do. I'm looking around, and I see this staircase. And I'm like, there's a staircase. I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, my brain runs so quick. And I'm like, hey, wait a second. God, I'll put a fleece before you. 5 cards. If it's 5 jumps to the top, then I know this is you. If it's 4, no. If it's 6, I'm not going to do it. That's it. You know me. You know my heart. I've seen miracles. I've heard the voice of God in ways to move me. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, like, no way. Like, wait a second, that third step looks a little high, right? I've already got a little foot. Like, how does the limit? White man can't jump. I can jump, but then that third step is like, I don't know, you know? So it would be bad if I fell. Turned to my caregiver, Udi, and I said, Udi, I'm about to do something crazy. He said, okay. He didn't ask me, what are you going to do? He was like, okay, what do you need? And I said, make sure the microphone is tight. And all I told him was, I'm going to get out of my chair. He's like, okay. Then he comes to me, and she's talking to me from stage.
Yes.
And I've had adrenaline rushes before, and when she's talking to me, I have one of the most incredible adrenaline rushes. I can't even hear her when she's talking to me. We're live television. I don't even know. She's introduced me. I know it's coming, and I know they told me I got 180 seconds. Okay, God help me. And Nick, how do you overcome your blah 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 with this card, that card, this kind of like? I said, well, Oprah?
Well, I know that you love to think out of the box and have things outside of the box in your show. Yeah. And I know that you love illustration. So if I may illustrate in about 180 seconds, can I do something a little crazy, but it'll be powerful?
And you can notice she turns to someone backstage, and I'm like, Udi's like, what is he about to do? My wife's in the crowd. She's like, what is going on? And I slide down my seat. I jump right in the hallway. I'm like, camera, get lights. Okay, good. I check the screen because I'm in production a lot. Okay, good, lights. And I turn to the camera and I say, okay.
I was born without arms and legs. The chemistry I could not change. In my life, I know that God didn't give me this pain, but what the enemy tried to use for bad, he turned into good. Man, the connections. I want to tell Porsche, look, I'm a guy, I love cars, okay? And I love Porsches more than Ferraris, okay? and I want everyone to know that we are wonderfully and fearfully made. And until you can actually understand that we are all wonderfully and fearfully made from God, I want you to know that you will always be trapped and chained and you will be stopped. But when you have the incredible power of faith in action, nothing holds you back. And you're beautiful just the way that you are. No worries. For me, I felt the connection. For me in my life, I'm thinking, man, I'm not going to get married. I can't even hold my wife's hand. What connection am I going to have? But you know what?
Next step. My book was called Unstoppable Faith, Faith in Action. And I got to actually mention it all the way up, mention Jesus, mention God, the whole kit and caboodle, and a jump. 6,000 women roaring out of victory. They're like, ah! Oprah gets out of her chair, bends down, gives me a hug. And I'm like, wow, what just happened? I'm like, you want me to go off stage? Like, I'm about to get in trouble. Like, if someone gonna just pick me up. And so we're like conversing there. And on the live, right, you just see it on and on and on and on.
Yes.
Now, I don't do that, okay, generally speaking. And I'm very respectful. But I knew that was when God's like, you got to do it. You got to say it. And sometimes when you're general in the army of God, you go in, wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. And you try and love people always. Even when people falsely accuse you of something, sometimes you do have to publicly say something when you have that many fans out there to clean the air. But always in love, respect, and honor, honoring those boundaries. But sometimes God prompts you to ask a national government. Here's a photo. I want you to see this photo right now. This is the national government of Ukraine on their knees in 2017.
Wow.
And it was celebrating the 500-year reformation of allowing people to have a Bible in their hand without being killed.
Wow.
And I was the person to talk about the importance of honoring God as a government, honoring the Bible and God's law in our law as a nation. So on national television was the highest rated 5 years of content that channel 1+1 had ever seen, as I saw a limbless evangelist whose grandfathers were in prison for persecution in Yugoslavia in the 1960s.
Wow.
To then a limbless evangelist asking that government to say, please get on your knees and let's ask for the forgiveness of the sins of our land and heal our land. That, those are the highlights of moments where we do things, or I do things because I know this is something that needs to be done.
You are so inspirational. I want to talk about the significant marriage.
Oh man, my wife is the most incredible, beautiful, amazing, Holy Spirit-filled woman of God. Her name is Kane. She's half Japanese, half Mexican. We call that Japsican. And it was love at first sight. We actually fell in love here in McKinney, Texas.
That's awesome.
At the development of Adriatica. Hi, Jeff Blackguard. We love Texas. She was here for 8-9 years. I never thought I'd move here, but we just moved here in June. And we actually attended the Significant Marriage Conference presented by Dave and Mary Gothi. The significantmarriage.com is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All they do is, because of their past and because of even Dave not knowing Jesus until he met Mary, all they wanted to do their entire life was travel the world and help couples fortify their marriage and have that atmosphere and conversation between husband and wife to just talk and say things and have a time to talk about the purpose of their marriage, not just to be together, exist, and that's it, then have kids, then this, then that. Because there's a lot of us, we're coming up on our 10th anniversary in February coming up. And we know that we could always do better, but we never gave space in our marriage to go to a conference to actually do better. Right?
And it's streaming.
And it's live streaming. And so we're like, Dave and Mary, next time you come to Dallas and you do this, here in May 21st to 23rd here in Dallas, it's in Plano, hosted at the Hope Center. It's a Friday afternoon, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. It literally was a game changer for me and Kanae. We've written a book about love without limits. We think that a lot of people are being inspired by us, but we were most inspired by Dave and Mary Gothi and this seminar. So we're actually underwriting, our family is underwriting all the cost for this upcoming seminar. And I really encourage you, whether you're even seriously dating someone, or you're engaged to be married, or you've been married for 40, 50 years, I really believe this is a conference to really help you discover the God's given greater purpose for you and your marriage, and bring in not just the fire, but the fuel and then the fire that may be missing in your marriage right now.
Wow, Nick, I got chills. You are so inspirational. You're saving lives. You're saving marriages. Thank you so much. We're going to end by putting a couple of websites up. First, your website, lifewithoutlimbs.org, and
The Significant Marriage.
The significantmarriage.com.
Is it .com or .org? We'll figure it out.
It's .com.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. This has been a blessing.
Jeff, thank you, and God bless you and your family.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.
Yes.
Perfect.